now, I just make the music that I want to hear. So if I can't play it over and over again, then I'm most likely not going to release it. You know, even if it sounds, it might be a little off. I mean, there's always engineering. So that's one thing I would advise to artists is it's not always going to be perfect then, but if you like it, you can always find somebody who can, you know, bump it to the next level for you. You know, somebody who can, you know, take it to the next level for you. So that's my 2 cents.
How's everyone doing this morning?
Good.
Great.
The majority of you artists? Artists, raise your hand. All right, cool. And this question is about the evolution of our sound. Yeah, like myself, I started off just freestyle rapping. I'm from Houston, Texas, where everybody named Mama freestyle. Everybody coming down. So it's not a big deal, right? So you just do it, but then I discovered that I had this unique gift and talent. And then I got into songwriting on my first song, and I was like, oh snap, I think this is what I'm born to do. And now I live in Austin, Texas. And in Austin, Texas is an awesome city, but it's totally different from Houston. So it's a bunch of white people. So you can freestyle and have grills in Houston, but if you freestyle and have grills in Austin, then they just look at you crazy. So my style evolved because I felt like I was an artist, and I believe as an artist, the goal is to connect. I make what's true to me, but then I figured out, like, I learned how to play the guitar, like, just because, but then I fell in love with it, and that's when I realized, like, I was a songwriter and a lyricist, and I like the guitar when I rap because it puts the focus on, like, the words, and for me, it was always about the words. So now I'm an acoustic hip-hop artist, and my style evolved because I figured out how to stay true to me the whole time. Like, what wouldn't have been true to me is to just rap with a band. Lots of people do that, but that's fake to me. Like, that's not authentic. I didn't feel it. And so I would encourage anybody to, you know, like, figure out your sound and then, like, polish that, stay true to you. You can change, but you have to stay true to you while you do it, and that's really, like, the best way to evolve without losing yourself. What I believe. That's definitely what I've done, and I'm always amazed that it always connects with people. I think that works because it's coming from a pure place. And as an artist, we can come from a pure place, and people connect to that.
All right.
How you doing? My name is Boyce. I was a producer before I was a creative artist, rapper, MC, so to speak. Whereas my love for music started, and I was just hearing a lot of production from people like the Neptunes, Just Blaze, and Timbaland, just hearing how they manipulated sounds in the hip hop industry, from sampling, East Coast sampling, to just taking synthesized sounds and different types of raw elements and just making them turn into something that a lot of people weren't doing at the time when a lot of the scene started growing. So just being inspired by that, hearing the sounds, hearing the music come together with just different artists who were able to take their sound of the MC or even the singer or the pop artist they were, and just making it all come together is what made me want to be involved in the music itself. As far as taking what I do as a producer, just wanting to collaborate with different artists and see how I can make their sound mesh with mine is what kept me going. And when it came to me as an artist and the sound that I wanted to make for myself, not only coming from making music just to make music because I love doing it, but now making music with a message, which for me deals a lot with what my beliefs are. It helps me, it challenges me because now the message ain't the same anymore. It's not that the music is changing, but now the message is changing, so now it forces me to have to stay on the creative side, especially coming from a genre of music that not too many people follow. It's growing a lot now, you hear a lot more nowadays as far as Christian music is concerned, but the background of it came from just music itself. So, I mean, the growth is always going to be there, just like any genre of music. So for me, it's just staying on top of what the sound is as far as the new up-and-coming artists are concerned, but also just staying true, like that gentleman said over there, just staying true to who you are and what the message is really about. So.
I think for me, I have always, first and foremost, been a singer, and you know, it's never really mattered to me whether or not I was singing a rock song or a country song or a blues song. or a show tune. I just love to sing. And so as I became an artist, all of those styles of music that I grew up, loving to sing, eventually, began to show themselves in different ways. And for me, sometimes I would find myself, performing with just a piano. Sometimes I would find myself in front of a full, 10-piece band with backing vocalists and horns. And sometimes, I would collaborate with people who are beatboxers and producers and, make more pop and R&B tracks. So I think the most important part for me as an artist is to never really give myself a label or a box to be put in. I can do or sing, whatever I want to, regardless of whether or not anybody else likes it or not. And that to me is really, what sets apart somebody who is really in it because they're driven as an artist. Because it doesn't matter if the world loves it or not, I still have to do it. It's still inside of me. And it's great when people love it. It's great when people show up. It's great when people, dig the tracks and download them, etc., buy the music. But it is way more important to me that I'm happy creatively and that I feel at peace with what I'm doing, and that I get it out, because it's like a lot of the times my creativity is kind of like a demon that has to be exercised, it's in there, it's in my head, and it has to come out, and then I can move about and do whatever it is that I have to do.
Yes.
Good morning. I apologize for my tardy. I went to the wrong campus, and I went to school here at UTSA, so I thought I knew what was up, and obviously I don't know what's up. My creative process changes over time, I think. Hi, everybody. My creative process changes over time. I think it's just a part of development. As you grow as a person, as a creative, you kind of navigate through life, or you navigate through your career, your craft, and you decide kind of where that leads you, where you want to be with it. I think for each one of us, it's different. I don't think there's a cookie cutter way. Each one of us has our own style. We're all individuals here, so I think that's an important thing, is to look into that. My creative process is going to continue to change over time. I think number one, living is important, and that's just, you got to ask yourself, what's living to you? Living to me is feeling alive. When you're creative, you got to be in touch with the feel, right? So your senses, what you smell, what you feel, what really hits you here. That's how it's changed over time. Sonically, for me, I've always had, it's funny how Ikea talks about how, stuff that's in your head, we all got stuff in our head, and the key point is to extract it. And I think patience is number one. When you cut your first project, like my first project, I didn't know what I was doing. Sometimes I still don't think I know what I'm doing. I feel like I know what I'm doing, but I don't know what I'm doing at the end of the day. But you sit there and you just kind of work on what you can. Creativity is also what you do with what you have. So everybody here is on a budget. Everybody, it doesn't matter if you have, if you've got big label backing you, whoever it is, there's no such thing as infinity's monies or infinity's time, right? So you have to be able to use what you have and make the best of it with what you've got and who you're with and the team that you have. So whoever you're with, there's a team, you know, the marketing side, the PR side, the music side, the musician side. It all works with the sound. And before you work on a project, you gotta, I mean, I rehearse a lot. I jam a lot. I mean, I play alone a lot.
Every time you go along, you just start beatboxing.
Yeah, right. So that's what I pretty good. Yeah. Right. So that's what I have to say about the sound is it continues to change. I found love in guitars. I found love in rock and roll, blues, and soul. And,
Yes.
And that's where I'm going to stay. And then the rest is just I appreciate it as a fan a lot.
Yeah.
I know you talked a little bit about engineering, and I know a lot of people here are kind of new to that, especially new singer-songwriters. So I want to ask you guys, what advice do you have to people turning their creative ideas into a digital product that can be marketed, or analog creativity, records and cassettes? What is that process kind of like for y'all as far as songwriting to engineer? What are some tools you use as far as digital audio workstations, or if you're going to an engineer, how do you develop those kinds of relationships with people? Where do you go digitally to meet people that can provide these kind of resources to you as an artist to make your vision that's in your head, an MP3, music video, etc. I'll start off with this.
Well, I have put out songs that have been made on my phone. I've put out songs that were made on my MacBook. And I don't particularly think that I am an amazing producer on my own by any means, or an engineer on my own by any means. But again, getting back to part of the thing that I believe in is that it's important to kind of just get it out sometimes. In the kind of the space that I believe that we are digitally and with social media, I think it's really important, now more than ever to constantly be creating. So I think that the sooner that you get over the idea that everything has to be perfect, the sooner you can start having more successes along the way, because you're going to have a ton of misses before you have any hits, obviously. And really, my greatest tool that I have to help me engineer music is collaboration. And I cannot stress that enough. I have never released a final product. I might release these demos on my own. I might put out a video on my own, but I've never released a final product to the world that wasn't, didn't feature co-writers or other musicians, producers, engineers, people who mix the music, master the music, and not to say that it can't be done. You can't do all that stuff on your own, because you can. But for me, I get a high level of satisfaction and enjoyment by working with other people. And I learn so much by working with other people. And I think that the people that I have been fortunate enough to work with, and some of them are some of the most amazing musicians and talented engineers that I've ever had a chance of meeting. I've been very fortunate, and I have learned a lot from them, and I think that that's probably the biggest thing that I would encourage you to do. Is collaborate with people. Don't stress too much over this demo or that demo. Start letting people hear it, get it out. The sooner that you can have the wind knocked out of you and realize that it's not it's not perfect and it's okay, the better, because then you can get back up and do it again and again and again.
I think for me, as far as my sound, I mean, any person who's making music always you know, even if you have a raw sound with a band, or you're a live artist or blues player, rock player, you always love that feel. I think for people, I guess whether you're an R&B singer or a rapper, or you know, even a spoken word artist, anybody, the world will tell you that, you know, digitally they want it to sound the way it should sound, something you would hear on the radio, right? And you're always going to come across engineers, and you're always going to come across producers that say something doesn't sound right. But as for an artist, it's going to be a totally up to you. You hear all kinds of artists who have reverb on everything they have, or artists who have auto-tune on everything they drop, or, you know, there's always going to be something different, but it's all about finding your style at the end of the day, finding what fits you. And even with technology, I mean, you see even this gentleman right here, he has an interface and he's recording everything. So I mean, it's not like you can't pick up and travel and take everything where you need to go. I mean, from MIDI keyboards to laptops to even, you know, recording off your phone, they have all kinds of technology where you can drop something sitting on a bus or even at a bus stop, and people will be like, man, where'd you do this? Oh, well, I just dropped this from my G5 right now, so, or the S5, whatever the new Galaxy phone is. But I mean, the creative process also helps because of all the new waves, all the new inputs they're putting in, from Pro Tools to Avid to Sony, and even from Final Cut Pro to Adobe Premiere. Just knowing the endless abilities and capabilities that you have putting stuff together. I mean, it's just it's exciting. You know, as for me, it doesn't stop at just music, because I do my own engineering, I do my own recording, and then after that I take it to a video. So now my creative process goes from putting my sound and then wanting to put visuals behind it. But I mean, I think it's going to keep changing. I think just like our sound's going to keep changing, and our visuals are going to keep changing.
I think there's 3 words in my perspective, or in my experience, that are critical. There's the performance, there's the capture, and then there's what we call magic. And at the end of the day, if it sounds good, it sounds good. And that's, I think, where confidence comes in. If it sounds good, it sounds good. I think it's also important to have conversations with yourself and record everything you do. So, I mean, I record every rehearsal. I record a lot of shows, a lot of stuff, and you go back and you listen. Because that, I mean, how else are you going to know how you sound like or what you want to do if you don't know that? I think it was scary at first, because I was like, oh man, I don't want to listen to myself. Or you're a little timid about it, but at the end of the day, do you not want to be the best you can be, right? So for me, it was breaking down each bass line for my players and going, all right, man, I like what you did there. Do a little more of that. Or, you know, hey, drummer, man, stay in the pocket a little bit more during this part of the section. And that allows you to communicate with your musicians, man, because it's also a language. Music's, at the end of the day, it's a language. You know, you talk to the drummer in a particular language, you talk to a bass player and your other, you know, the rest of the ensemble in a particular way. You don't talk to them the same way as you would your friends, your family. It's its own language. And that, I mean, that's what we do. Then you start looking at recording, and I think it's what do you want to do with it? You know, do you want to do commercial work with it, or do you want to do it for the fan? There's different perspectives. And who's your audience, man? Who are you sending this music out to, right? And how special is it to you? Because there's a lot of music, I think, out there that the capture could be very, very criticized, but you can't deny that the performance and what was going on was beautiful. And you can hear that in songs or music. I mean, when I was a kid, the first thing I ever did was recording. I took a Chicago tape, and I put one tape in one boombox, and then I put another boombox on the other side, and I kind of figured out how to put them between each other, distance-wise, and I recorded the cassette tape. and it sounded like crap. You go back and listen to it, but you're there, you're hooked to it, and it's magical. So that's what I'm trying to say is, I think that's what they were trying to say too, is not to, nuke it or go too deep in it, but if it sounds good, it sounds good. I do everything also to a click track. When I play with the band, I rehearse at least a couple times of each song with a click track. And that just programs you. That's just training. That just allows you to kind of be in tune. It's like tuning your mind, tuning your body to being the best that you can be, right? And then again, recording everything, having conversations with your people, and working with someone that's going to dig your stuff, man. Just because someone is amazing in one section or in a certain part of the industry, or just because someone has a bona fide name, doesn't mean they're going to like your stuff, and doesn't mean you're going to like their stuff. That's totally fair. That's completely fair. There's a respect part to everything you do, but it's totally fair to not like someone else's work or not want to work with someone else. But it is important to work with everyone else because you want to be the best that you can be at whatever it is that you do. If you're a guitar player, be a guitar player. If you have other talents, then put it around that too. But at the end of the day, man, you're just as strong as the people that you're with. And that's what I got to say.
So I was taking some notes, excuse me. But definitely, I definitely agree with collaboration, right? So you want to make the stuff that you want to hear, honestly, at the end of the day. So kind of like he was saying, making sure that the people around you like what you are putting out, that's really a key part of collaboration. Because if they don't, most of the time, they're not going to see your vision and it's not going to be carried through, right? So mainly with just kind of the whole idea of engineering, networking, the creative process, it's really important to literally, like he said, record everything. Don't get too caught up in the quality of things, because that's where the collaboration comes in, right? I think a lot of the times, especially now, everybody's just like, DIY everything, do everything myself. Calm down. No, we have, everybody else is here. We can help each other out. You can do things yourself. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we're all here, on this planet. We all can do things. Let's help each other out, I know I'm partially deaf, so there's no way you should have me engineering anything. But I can write, and I know I can produce, but mixing and mastering, okay, I've tried it, it's probably not the best. But that's something that you learn in your creative process, that you have to, as an artist, be honest with yourself. That's why I said if you don't like it, probably nobody else is. But then there's caveats to that, like Vacay. That song, one of my songs, I did not like that song. I actually had bronchitis when I recorded that song. And I was like, why do people like this? But just like what they were saying before is the feeling of things, okay? So everything that you do, you don't have to worry about the quality of it, but worry about the performance of it, okay? That's your first step. So if you're a perfectionist like me, I'm a Virgo, I'm kind of crazy, really focus on the performance aspect of things, because recording you can record things multiple times. So that's, I guess, my advice with engineering, collaboration. Definitely don't put the pressure on yourself to feel like you have to do everything yourself, because there's people out here who will like your stuff.
If the question is how when do you turn a song into a digital product? What are some challenges? Then focusing on that digital product piece. If you're an artist, or some people call themselves aspiring artists. Either are or you aren't, and are really aspiring. But when you translate it into a digital product, I think you really should think about why. Because if you can spend all your time trying to figure out how to record music, but then it's but you want to be a professional full-time artist. And then it's a few steps past that is so are you gonna make money because you record music, or you make the most of your money? How will you make money, right? It might be from the merch. So you can spend 85% of your time figuring out how to record music, only spend 15% of your time on merch, but then you be majoring in money. So it's something to think about. Because I'm really speaking to if you want to be a professional artist or a full-time artist. So I think that's a key thing. And then also, who is your audience? Myself, I perform live often, this weekend, 6 shows. I perform live so much that people don't buy CDs, and they can go stream it on Spotify or where they legally download music at. But it's more so people want my performances because it's a memento from the live performance or back to when they experienced that live show. So I don't focus as much on recording albums as I do putting together an awesome live show. So I think that's a key part. And even if I create a digital product, then maybe, because what I had to figure out over time was, because my live show, from what people tell me, is very, very dynamic, very creative, and very unique, or what have you. When I record music, no matter how awesome it is, they were like, yeah, but when you were at that festival, you did it, like, what is that one at? I'm like, well, that was. So what I started to do was figure out how to capture my live performances. And then I discovered there was this whole arena of artists that do that, like String Cheese Incident. Anybody know that group? And the kid does, right? Like, these dudes have been around for like 2 decades. They have millions of fans. They perform for hundreds of thousands. But all they do is jam live. So they could figure out how to record studio albums, but what they figured out was how to record their live performances. So that's something to look at, like, because digital product doesn't really just refer to a song. It's a digital product. So that could be video or whatever it is. That could be you capturing it live. And then I also figured out it was easier to capture it live because, like he said, right? Because if it's magic, and it's like, let's capture that one. Let's release that one. I performed it 10 times, but when I did it at ACL, I was like, magic, let's release that one. So that's something to really think about when you do digital product.
You guys. So I know we were all talking a little bit about songwriting right now. And I know a lot of times we get caught up in, like you said, merchandising, you mentioned marketing, engineering, we get caught up in all these other things. How important is it to sometimes kind of step away from all of that and let the collaboration take place and just focus on the root of it all, just sitting down and songwriting? What are some hurdles you face as an artist that is kind of tasked with being a creative entrepreneur and not just an artist in that digital world, digital age? How do you navigate that? How do you just focus on songwriting when there's so much on your plate in order to be successful in today's day and age? I'll toss it back.
Can you recap the question for me?
What are some of the things that get in the way of you creating songs? Whether it's marketing, merchandise, exactly.
Facebook notifications, Netflix, Hulu, those things get in the way. When it comes to the actual music, I don't focus as much on the block. I focus on like when it flows. I had an awesome conversation with an artist that like a beast earlier this week. He's done many, many great things. Whatever we were just talking about, like what inspires a song. So it's just the way that I'm wired. I would love to answer the question, but I honestly don't focus on negatives that much. To me, like that's a negative, and it's crucial. It's just the way that I think. But I know I've just continually figured out how to, like, what inspires me and what the creative process is. I love to collaborate. So by myself, songs just come to me, and you capture that, like he mentioned earlier, like record everything. But like it's the ideas. Like I don't know what I did before the iPhone. Now I can just go to my voice recorder, get that in, and be like, cool, I'll come back to it later. And so when that's one thing that I do. Like I capture those ideas. So when I need to create on demand, I don't just make it up on the spot. I like go back and say, oh yeah, I remember that, and now let me flesh that out. So that's one way that I create. And I love to collaborate and allow people to be themselves. My process, because when I get around other individuals, and I often get in the studio and because people have respect for me, they're like, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, I want you to do you. Like, you do you, and I vibe off of that. And I get to create based off of what they bring to it versus you just be a part of my vision. It's more like be a collaborator with me, and that's how I get to bring out new stuff.
Well, we only have about 5 minutes left, so I did want to get everybody else's response, but I would like to include some questions from our audience if y'all have anything having to do.
5 minutes for 5 minutes.
Okay, sure. Then we can go ahead and continue with this question for right now.
So, real quick, collaboration matters mainly because you are part of the team. Okay, so you're a music creator. That means that you need to trust the people around you to be able to do their job so that you can do your job. That's just bottom line. So if you feel like you're in a crunch, like you're having to do everything yourself and you're taken away from your creative process, it's mainly because you may need either a team change or you need to, restructure some things and figure out what is your goal within the music creation process, typically. So, I mean, it's really trusting your team. So building like the environment around you so that you can do your job effectively. It's like pointless to like try to go to your job tomorrow or Monday and be like, you know what, I'm gonna do my boss's job. Or you know what, I'm gonna clean the bathroom. Like, what are you here for? Like, do your part. Do your part and trust your team. Trust.
I think there are two perspectives that I think I'm going to talk about, just to kind of keep it short. It's the songwriting and then the artistry. As an artist, I reverse engineered kind of everything, so I was always kind of an artist, a thinker, but I went through business school, and that was kind of my development. And I was always really businessy oriented, even when I first started my career. I'm pretty new in it. But I remember one day my guitarist walking up to me and going, dude, whacks me on the shoulder and he goes, you're an artist, man, don't forget that. I love hearing you talk about business, I love hearing you talk about all that crap, but inside of you there's an artist. And don't forget that. And there's something that's there. And he spoke to me and I'm like, you're telling me that I can be myself and it's okay? And he just laughs and goes, that's what you're supposed to do. So I think that's what's the beauty of art is, you individually, everyone just like tuning in with themselves and loving that and just going, being able to look in the mirror. It's going to sound really douchey, but look in the mirror and go, what's up, dude? Like, love you. And then, you know what I mean? Like, love the crap out of yourself, take care of yourself. And once you do that, mix it with a little bit of living, and then just live art, learn it, just be art, man, that you will discover something beautiful. That's the journey I'm on, and it's cool, and I can only encourage that. Songwriting is everything, man. Be nice to everybody you meet, be respectful to every situation that you're in. Write it down, write it down. I mean, I walk around, wherever I go, where I travel, whatever I do, I have a portfolio. In my portfolio, I have sheet music, I have music books, and I have different pens and pads and highlighters and stuff. If I'm traveling, if I'm doing something, you best believe I'm going to be writing something down. I may not use it now, but I'll use it later. As long as you check in with yourself one day at a time, I guarantee you'll have enough energy and creativity to last you forever.
When it comes to writing for me, I guess you could say I come from 3 different avenues. One is collaboration, like they've been talking about. To just get in a room with somebody and say, look, I just want to collaborate with you because I believe you're a dope artist, or an artist going to produce and say, man, I just love your production. Let's just work together for the sake of working together. Just making the music without having a certain subject content or a certain message or anything. I think that's just the fun of collaborating when it comes to that process. There's no particular topic. When it comes to writing for a purpose, myself personally, it usually only happens when I have to get something off my chest. That could come from, like I said, somebody hitting up your inbox and just send you a message that you don't want, or you just dealing with politics now. You see a lot of things that are going on in the world, and you just like, you know what, I just got to speak my mind when it concerns this topic, no matter what nobody thinks. Or even my other avenue is just, as a producer, me just wanting to get in and make something, and then just going off the vibe of the sound of the song that I put together. So as an artist, for me, those are the 3 avenues that I take: to the collaboration, or something like I said with this particular message, or just filling the music and letting the music do what it's supposed to do.
So I feel like for me, the thing that I want to impart before we leave is that everything is always going to get in the way of your music and your business, and there's no way around it, and it is crucial that you have support, from your friends and your family. If you have bandmates, if you've got people that you're networked with in school, earlier Brendan was up here talking, and I think something that he said was so profound that a lot of people don't, really take into account, and that is, it doesn't matter if you're the best, especially today, because everybody's the best. I mean, you can take 2 minutes and get on YouTube and find somebody who's doing what you're doing and probably 10 times better than you, and that's just the facts. But they're probably more popular because they have best friends, and they know people, and they're working it, and they're making it happen for themselves. And they free themselves up by collaborating with people and networking with people, and they don't get bogged down in the stuff that gets you bogged down because they're working a network and they have a group of people that are supporting them. I'm in Austin, so I'm very fortunate that I have the access to things like HAM and SIMS, which are nonprofits that help keep me healthy, both physically and mentally, that are set up specifically for musicians. And I think that's very key to my success and happiness in life. But I mean, there are days when I wake up and it's all I can do to even get out of bed and keep at it, because this particular life that I've chosen for myself is, sometimes just an exercise in rejection over and over and over again. And if I didn't have the support and the care of the people around me and the people who love me and believe in me, then I wouldn't be able to do this, period. If I didn't have friends in places that loved my music and, thought that what I was doing was legit and would take the time to, sit down with me and listen to my new record and maybe pass it on to this person, etc., then I wouldn't be able to do this. So again, I cannot say enough that you've got to have support, you've got to have a network. I get through all this because I still got to do it all on my own, but I have to have those people to help me.
Well, I'd like to open up the floor to any questions from anybody in our audience.
Yeah, we have just about 2 minutes. But remember, there's the networking break. This is your chance to ask a lot of questions. Are you guys sticking around? All right, great. So you're all, willing. But let's make 1 or 2 questions.
Maybe just put 1 or 2 if anybody would like to ask.
Whatever comes first. Doesn't matter.
What he said.
Yeah, I mean, the sooner you can get it recorded and written down or whatever, to me, it doesn't matter. Sometimes I'm driving down the road and there's a beat in my head and I've got to get it out. Sometimes I'm sitting in a panel like this and I hear somebody say, like the other day I wrote a song because a woman was trying to draw my blood and she couldn't hit the vein, and this other nurse was like, "No, honey, you got to feel it before you poke it." And I thought that was freaking brilliant, so I wrote around that. So, you never know. So whatever it is, just get it out.
How do you sort of develop your musical identity, especially if you have a love for multiple genres, perhaps some that don't go together? How do you understand where you're supposed to take your place in the music genre?
Open minds, trial and error.
Have you ever had a dirty room, like your dorm room, where you're right and you feel overwhelmed and you're like, where do I start? You got to start somewhere. So just start somewhere, man, and then just follow that path, and eventually you'll have a clean room. You'll get dirty again, but then you'll know that just start somewhere. And it'll work itself out. Gravity will ride it.
Don't get caught up in labels either. Just like do your thing.
Yeah.
Make music. Just make music.
Especially nowadays, you have bands like Rage Against the Machine. rock and rap. And you have bands like Linkin Park. They took the synth sounds from the rock sounds, the rap sounds, and they made it their own sound. I mean, so you can't say that, hey, I can only stick to this genre. It's just, if you can make it happen, make it happen.
That's awesome. Let's give them a huge round of applause. Thank you for Mattia, Julian Costa, Ania, and Saul Paul. Thank you guys so much. The next panel in this room will be about